Today the plan is to teach you how to build an immediate action shelter. Maybe you're out hunting or hiking in the woods, you get turned around, you got no place to go for the night and you need to sit tight. This is the shelter that you can build. It takes hardly any time or resources and you can slap it together quick. Talking about site selection, you want to make sure you're in an area where it's safe. You got no dead standing trees that are going to fall on you. You're in an area that's not going to flood, an area that's not on any sort of animal trails. So make sure you're setting up your shelter in a spot that's safe. Before we build the shelter, what we want to do is build some sort of insulation bed, because the earth is going to suck a lot of our body heat out from underneath this. So for an insulation bed, what we've got here behind us is a ton of pine needles. Off of this tree, we can scrape those up. We want to get to about 12 to 18 inches on an insulation bed. Nice thick mattress there for us to sleep on. It'll make it comfortable and it'll insulate us from the ground. The area that we're in here, we've got some natural protection already from these large trees that are around us. So it's going to keep a lot of the snowfall off of us. Plus the poncho is going to provide a little more wind protection and additional protection from precipitation. Alright, one thing about working out in the cold is that you don't want to let yourself sweat, because once you stop working and you're soaking wet, it's going to be real hard for your body to heat yourself back up. The saying is that when you're wet, you lose heat at a rate 25 times faster than when you're dry. So the insulation bed is the hardest part of the shelter. It takes the most amount of time. But this is where you really want to spend the time to do it right. Don't just think, I'll tough it out through the night, because you know, you might wake up dead for one, or two, you're going to have a miserable night. If you start to feel like you're getting hot, you need to take off some layers and start working in lighter clothing. We're going to give it a try. As you probably noticed, there's a lot of moisture still in this thing. We're going to need to lay down some sort of material that's going to protect us from all that moisture. Otherwise, we're just going to lay down, it's going to get all over us, we're going to get soaking wet, and that's going to suck. We're going to use something that's the noisiest material on the face of the planet. The classic space blanket. Good. Take the space blanket off for now, just because it's going to blow everywhere and be extremely noisy and irritating. So we'll stash that for now, build the shelter over top of it, it'll be good to go. Set it up so that it's already tied off to all four corners, so that once you pull it out of your pack, it's already good to go. You just tie it up to the tree, stake it out in three corners, and you're ready. So I'm going to tie it up about belly level. Okay, and then I'm going to tie it off to this line with a clove hitch. Okay, down here for the first stake, you don't need to carry backpacking stakes with you, you know, just use sticks that are about thumb width, and you can break them off the trees. I'll find them on the ground. You're going to pull your poncho pretty tight, find out where that stake needs to go, give yourself a little bit of room to tie the knot. Okay, the ground's frozen this time of year, so it's a little difficult for those first couple inches. But once you get it going, get it deep enough it's going to hold, tie it off nice and low, snug it up, and then again, we'll go with the clove hitch. Okay, the next stake, go to the next corner, pull it out tight, figure out where it's going to be so the material's nice and snug all the way across. Measure out where our stake's going to go, right there. Stake went a lot easier. Then one more corner, and then I'll show you something cool in the hood to create a little bit of space on the inside. Same thing on this side, pull it tight, measure where your stake's gonna go, push it in. Alright, you see that? It looked like it's gonna pull out. When I pull in that tight, the stake's kind of wanting to creep. So that one's not gonna work. Don't cheese it and try and force it to work. Just get a different spot in the ground. You may need to go either closer to the shelter or further away. We got lots of cordage here, so we're gonna go further away. So you don't have to do this, but it makes it nicer on the inside of the shelter, pulls it up off you a little bit, creates a little bit more pitch for if there's any precipitation, it's gonna run right off there. You can tie the hood off using the cordage that's in the hood. Snug it up real nice and tight. Take another piece of cordage, slip loop right there on the end, reach through from way down low on the hood, pull it tight, tie that off, and then you can tie it to a branch that's overhead so that you've got more space in the shelter. Okay, and then so for the line that you're tying up into the branch, you guessed it, it's gonna be a clove hitch again. Completed shelter, insulation bed, space blankets reflecting a lot of my body heat back up. It's also keeping me dry from all the insulation bed, the moisture in there. Got some overhead cover here, staked out. It'll keep you dry and keep you alive. Alright, wanted to show you guys also real quick what you could build it with if you didn't have a poncho and you just had some visqueen like you can buy in the roll from Walmart. This is 9x12. I think I cut, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet off of this thing just to make it not so massive. But I'm going to show you a different technique using buttons with this material so that you can still have a way to tie off to it without tearing it to shreds. With buttons, you got your material, you're going to go to one corner of it. What you want to do is you can use the same stuff that you used for your insulation bed. You can use pine needles, you could use small stones, dirt clods, some of these pine cones, whatever. That's a golf ball size roughly. Put it in the material, grab around it, and you're going to take your 550 cord, create a slip loop, put it around that material, snug it up, and that becomes your tie-off point now. That's where you'll put your stake right there. So you're going to use buttons on all 4 corners of the material, tie it up to the tree that way, and stake it out just the same as we did the other one. Okay, so shelter's tied out, all 4 corners. We're not going to put a button in the middle of this thing. I mean, you could put a button in the middle of it to tie it up, but then you'd have all kinds of weird creases going all the way around this thing, and you'd risk blowing out the middle of this visqueen. This is only like 2 mil visqueen, not real durable, so you want to tear it up. Other things to think about: the pitch of the shelter. Usually you want to go from 45 degrees to 65 degrees. This is a little lower because if you look at the area I'm in, the trees protect us from a lot of the snow. Here's a look inside the visqueen shelter, space blanket in here of course. You need to roll up in this thing in the night to stay warm. If you guys like learning these kinds of skills, give us a thumbs up, leave us a note in the comments, and be sure and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.